Today on our fight preview, we have newly signed MMA T Company professional athlete Chaka Worthy. Chaka is a 3-2 MMA fighter out of the academy out in Pittsburgh. He's going to be fighting this Thursday for CFFC 90 here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, against Turpal Kamzayev. Sorry, Turpal, if I mispronounced that. Chaka, thanks for joining us today. How are you feeling? How's camp going?
I feel great. Camp's doing good. It's pretty much at the end. Just getting the last pounds off and just tightening up a few little things and ready to go.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I know we were talking a little bit offline about your weight, and your real weight cut's going to be starting here shortly. But how do you feel overall? Are you dehydrated now? Or are you kind of still fueled up and still staying hydrated? Ahead of this fight, your weight cut, I guess, starting the real hard part of it starting today or tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm still fully hydrated. Still getting over 1.5 gallons of water in a day, eating 2-3 times a day, just smaller meals. So I still feel pretty good and everything. Weight's pretty much where it needs to be. And then these last couple of days, just knock off the last little pounds and get ready to go.
That's awesome. It's good to hear, that your weight cut's going well. Wanted to talk to you about, just the past year, 2020. We spoke a little bit, like I said, offline about how this has been, your longest layoff. You were fighting 3-4 times in a year, and it's been a while now since you fought. So, how has 2020 been for you? And do you feel like you're going to have any kind of like ring rust or anything going back into the cage now that it's been a little while since you've been in there?
This year's been crazy. 2 canceled fights. But I don't think I'll have any rust or anything because I had a lot of guys in our gym that have been fighting over this year. So we've all been in pretty much fight camp, just getting guys ready to fight. So, and I train with some really, really high level guys. So I'm not really ever really too much out of fight shape. It's just been an up and down year as far as getting excited to have fights, and then you have them fall through, and then you pit on top of that everything else that's going on this year. It's kind of challenging, but this is definitely going to be an escape.
Yeah, and you talk about the gym where you're training, and you have a lot of high level guys out there. You're at the academy out there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
How have things been going just for your gym overall? You said you had a lot of guys that are in there getting fights, so things are still going pretty well for your competition team, your fight team. People are still being able to take fights, compete, do all those things.
Yeah, we had a lot of guys. There was 2 cards in Pittsburgh over the Thanksgiving break and weekend. We had a couple guys fight and do really good. And then we had a couple other guys fight throughout the year and stuff. So it was down. It was really, nobody was really fighting at first, but this last over Thanksgiving break, a lot of the younger amateur guys got to fight. So it's starting to pick back up. And throughout the whole city, guys are just fighting. So we got a lot of good training in still.
And Pittsburgh, I know is not necessarily known for its MMA in Pennsylvania always as much as Philadelphia is. A lot of people, tout Philadelphia as the, the hub of Pennsylvania MMA, but you guys out there at the academy and a lot of other gyms in Pittsburgh are really cranking out a lot of, high quality fighters.
Oh yeah, I think the promoters know that.
Yeah, and that's starting to come around now too.
Messed up with fights. I think they know the type of caliber of guys they get down in the Pittsburgh area. Not just my gym, but like you said, like there's a few gyms in the area that we all train together, and we all pump out like high level guys that are going to come to bang.
And for you, it seems like fighting is something that's in your family. Your brother is a UFC fighter. You've had some offers with Bellator and some things that have fallen through. So how did you get started in MMA? How did, fighting become part of your lifestyle?
Man, it's crazy. I was going to school in Alabama for the longest, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start training. And then I started doing jiu-jitsu down in Montgomery, Alabama. And then my brother, he was like, hey, if you really want to really train at a real gym and try to pursue this as a career, you got to come up somewhere where MMA is it's booming. And at the time, that was Pittsburgh, Ohio, and this whole area. So 2015, I was like, all right, I'm going to make the move. So I just moved back up, and just ever since then, just been every day grinding.
Now, do you have any kind of background in wrestling, boxing, any kind of combat sport?
Nah, no combat sports. I used to fight a lot as a kid, but not in sports. So, but nah, it was just around 2010-ish, 2011. I really wanted to still compete. After not playing in high school anymore, like football, basketball, and stuff. So they let me give it a shot, and then of course the sport started taking off, and now I'm just here right now.
So you mentioned, the sport started taking off and you started in jiu-jitsu. So did you know when you started jiu-jitsu that you always wanted to kind of transition into MMA, or was it something you did?
It was like when I was in Alabama, but MMA is just not that big in Alabama. Back then, this was like 2014, 2015. But there was one gym that I found, and it was a really good jujitsu focused gym also. So I started taking jujitsu down there, and then also MMA. But I always wanted like, okay, I just trying to fight. But where I was at, that was just like the biggest gym down there was more of an MMA based gym.
Okay. And the jiu-jitsu that you were taking, was it gi, no gi, mix of both?
It was gi. Like I love gi jujitsu. That's what's crazy because everybody only see my fights and all I do is throw punches. But I actually started training gi jujitsu was like the first mixed martial art that I actually trained.
Now, speaking about gi jiu-jitsu, I'm also a big fan of gi, and I think that the gi is necessary to help your no gi game, which directly translates into your MMA game. How would you say the gi has helped you in MMA, even though you obviously don't wear one while you
Um, it's it's a lot of positioning. Yeah, when you do wear the gi, I need to put it on a lot more often. Uh,
fight?
but I do. I remember that like when that was one of the things that I always liked about jujitsu when I first started taking it. It was like you got to really think about what you're doing. Um, and it was like kind of like a peacefulness to it, and that's what I always loved about it. It was like you could breathe, you could remain calm, and that's really the big thing I take into the fights. It's just like that calmness that you have to just always try to keep, and that overreacting and panicking and stuff.
Now, have you always been that calm in your fights, or as an amateur, were you a little more, I don't want to say excited or nervous, but some amateurs come out of the gate and they're just throwing their bombs as much as they can, and then they kind of blow out in the first 30 seconds.
Nah, I think I've always been pretty like calm, even as an amateur. Uh, like I have a lot of volume when I throw my punches, but I try to fight pretty smart, keep my distance, and I don't know. I think I've always been a little smarter and a little more advanced than the competition. And cardio has always been my thing. Like I'm like a cardio king, so like I'm never worried about okay, I'm gonna tire out in a fight. Um, and then I like when I started training around a lot of good pros and stuff. So I got to like watch them fight and mimic what they did. So it's like, okay, I don't see them going out there acting stupid and crazy. They're out there setting stuff up. So if I want to be a pro one day, might as well start doing that now as an amateur.
And you mentioned you're a cardio king. What do you do outside of the gym for your cardio training?
Man, I run. I think you ask anyone, they'll ask you. You hop on my story on Instagram, or something. I'm up in the morning on the treadmill, on the elliptical. I'm putting in miles. During the summertime, I run. I love running, especially during the summer. Like I'll go run half marathons, full marathons. I really love running. So that's pretty much how I keep my cardio up. And then we
And
train all day, every day.
yeah, I always see that you through your stories. I see that you're always in the gym. You're always doing something, whether it's hitting mitts or even if you're just hanging out there, you're just constantly in the gym, right?
You gotta
Um,
be.
yeah, you do. You got to be, and it's a lifestyle that you have to live. And now that you're kind of a more established pro, right, and you're living that lifestyle, are you seeing kind of the amateurs coming up through your gym at the academy and kind of helping them also? Kind of make the right decisions, go in the right path, train the right way, do all the things that somebody probably helped you do, like you said, when there were pros in the gym when you were coming up through.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in the gym. It's not that I'm like I don't really talk that much. I just like to work and just train. So it's like the guys, like the younger guys that come in, and they start training, they want to work with us. I just be like, hey, glove up, put your gloves on, mouth guard in, and we're getting to work. Because that's one thing that I've always been taught and I've always seen by the older fighters, even guys that don't fight anymore that used to fight at our gym, is just show up and work. It's like that's all you really have to do. Just show up and work, and just if you keep doing that, all right, just keep coming back. You'll get better. And that's kind of just how I like try to talk to the younger guys in the area.
Yeah, and I think that also for the older guys or the more experienced guys in the gym, when they see younger fighters that just show up, they work, they don't complain, I think that helps the younger fighters gain a lot of respect to the older guys in the gym as well.
And
Now,
then a lot of these guys, they've been training like longer than me. I've only been training like 4 or 5 years. So it's like these are the same, like we come in, a lot of guys, I'm like, okay, we started training together.
and you haven't been training that long, and I wanted to ask you about that. Do you feel like it's now starting to come together? Like you really haven't been in the sport of MMA that long. So, as being a pro at 3-2, does it feel like now things are really starting to come together, starting to slow down in the cage where you can kind of, like you mentioned earlier, set combos up, put things together, see things ahead of when they're actually happening?
Yeah, I'm starting to become like real more comfortable doing stuff that I've never done before. It's just like a peacefulness now. Like I said, last year I was real active. And it's just like a calming feeling now. It's like, it feels like home. Like I really feel like I could do whatever I want in there because I prepare for it. And that's, I think, I've always prepared hard, but now I'm starting to see like, okay, this works because you drill it all the time. You could try this, you could try that. So that's what I'm like, just anxious to get back into the cage, man.
And I saw a screenshot on, I think it was either your Facebook or your Instagram somewhere, of you walking into the cage, and it said "Fight Style Phone Booth."
Cause we just fighting anywhere.
Where does that come from?
Man, I don't even know where I heard that from, but it's just like pretty much we'll fight anywhere. I'll fight you in the phone booth. It don't matter. Like we just gonna fight. It don't matter. It don't forget all the technical stuff. We just here to fight. I don't care about your rankings or whatever the hell your gym is, your coach is. Let's just go in there and fight. And that's what I think has really made me a good fighter. I remember one of my coaches, he told me, he was like, fights are nothing but glorified sparring matches. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much what it is. Like, look, we just here to fight. Like, I don't care about anything else.
And talking to you now, I get a sense that fighting for you is almost calming, right? It's relaxing. You feel almost at home in the cage.
Yeah, yes.
And for some people, right, when they go into the cage, it's life or death, right? They're going in there to fight for their life. And then other people, myself included, I went into the cage and I was like, this is more of a sport. I got to win the fight as a game. So how do you treat the fight mentally when it comes to kind of mixing, you're going out there and you are fighting another human being. The only person to stop you is the ref. And also you have to win the fight as it is a sport.
It's kind of like, yeah, like you said, it's weird. I really try to look at it, first and foremost, it is the sport. Win, lose, draw, I got my son at home. So it's like, I don't put that big burden of it's a fight. So like, yeah, you could get knocked out, stuff can happen. But at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, we're here to play a sport. Now it's a dangerous sport that, if you make the wrong mistakes, you could really get hurt. But that's just why we practice even harder. But it's like, once I actually step into the cage, it's like, okay, I'm thinking, all right, this is what I need to do to win. Sometimes I might be knock you out. Sometimes I might be play with you for a little bit and then knock you out. But it's just like, all right, I need to go out there, execute and win, and just leave it at that. Don't really try to get too emotional about it. It's just a game.
Got you.
But it's a game.
And you're right. It is a dangerous game, and you win some, you lose some. I've been on the end of both a knockout on both sides, and one's more fun than the other. And your opponent, right? He's coming off of 2 straight knockouts. We talked about this a little bit offline. So preparing for him with someone who obviously has some knockout power, did that change anything in your camp? Did you drill anything specifically? Did you, have anyone specifically that you were working with that fights like him? How has your camp gone with that?
Camp's been pretty regular. I actually watched his fights. Seeing what he can do. I was okay. He likes to punch. I like to punch. Everybody knows that. I don't think that's a secret.
No, at this point it's not. No.
If you ever seen any of my fights, I want to punch. So it's like, okay. And I'm used to going with very, very high level strikers that
Mhm.
hit very, very hard and that just can control the pace and do whatever. So I'm like, okay. Um, but again, we're prepared to go to the ground, stand up, anything. Just ready to go out there and have fun.
Good. And, I'm hoping you have fun on Thursday. I don't want to pry too much, but do you have any kind of prediction for me on how the fight's going to go?
I'm gonna get a win. I'm gonna get a W. That's how going out there to get the W. And again, like I said, because like I could end the fight. I could win the fight in multiple ways. And we all know how MMA is. It's like one of the most unpredictable sports. So I don't want to come out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna win by knockout and then win by submission,"
Mhm.
or say something else.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm just hoping that everybody shows up to fight night healthy and we go out there have a good fight, and I'm gonna leave with a W.
Awesome, man. We hope you stay healthy too. Alex and I, like I said, we were hoping to be there, but obviously we
Thank you
can't
guys so
can't
much.
can't come now. But we'll still be rooting for you watching on Fight Pass. Before I let you go, just wanted to throw it to you. Give any shout outs that you have for coaches, friends, family, sponsors, whatever you want. The floor is yours.
Thanks for everybody, family and friends. They all pretty much know who they are. I be forgetting names and stuff. But yeah, I'm just ready to have fun and get out there and fight. Thank you for having me again. And I'll bring home that double W on Thursday.
Awesome, Shaka. We're looking forward to it. CFFC 90, that's going to be this Thursday here in Lancaster. And that'll be streamed live on UFC Fight Pass. Shaka, good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.